Hi, it's Pixie with a little BDSM chat, and I wanted to hop on here real quick, hopefully it'll be real quick, and have a quick chat with any minors who might be on here and watching my videos, even though they're usually 18 and up, and I tell everyone to X out of them. If you were lurking and watching BDSM from the wings, as it were, not only should you be careful about who you play with who is older. Like, if you're 16, that's the legal age of consent in Georgia, and someone's older, like, 18, 19, 20, if they're any older than 20, there's a serious problem, and you should see that as a red flag. Anyway, even if you're playing with someone your own age and you're both just kind of experimenting and having fun and trying to see what you're into, there are some severe risks that can be involved to both your physical and your mental state. And trigger warning, abuse. I'm going to give you just a couple of examples. For instance, when I was 16, the first partner that I was sexually active with, I didn't take into consideration his mental state, what he was into. I knew that I wanted to try these games, and so we played What Happens If, and we just pulled a bunch of scenarios essentially out of a hat and saw if we liked it or not. And he was really good about playing along with me, and I think that he's mostly okay. And with everything, we definitely talked about things that we both enjoyed, both didn't enjoy. One of us liked, one of us didn't. So that was really good. We had really good communication considering our ages. 16 and 17, I think. But I know that it left a mark, and he's really not sure how to process some of the stuff from back then. And that conversation is actually what prompted me to kind of hop on here and talk to you guys about some possible problems with dating people your own age, because everyone gives the warnings about dating someone older. But we don't really talk about the fact that danger and abuse can happen with someone your own age. So, that first relationship that I just went over was pretty good, and we were both relatively responsible, all things considered. Had I to do it over again, I wouldn't have been so, hey, let's try this thing. It would have been, hey, let's talk about this thing. How do you feel about this thing? Do you think this thing would be something fun to play with? Instead of, let's just try it and see what happens. But I'm older and wiser now, and I'm less likely to just jump into a scenario and see what happens. I'd like to have at least some idea of what to expect at this point. But my relationship after that was with a girl who was pretty abusive when I go back and think about it. I don't like thinking about it. And I was going through some old journals, and I was reading a passage where she tied me up and left the house, and eventually came back. I got myself free, and in hindsight, I should have gone home or gone to a friend's work or gone anywhere. I was walking distance from a bunch of stuff, and why I stayed in her house, in her bedroom, is kind of beyond me. I considered it, but for some reason, the fear of possible The fear of possible additional danger from me leaving kept me there. And it wasn't really the first red flag that I had. Definitely wasn't the last. And we definitely had some of that what happens if mentality. I don't actually remember this happening, but in my journal it said something about her tying a rope around my neck and choking me. And yeah, that's abuse. That's not fun and games. That is abuse. In hindsight. I may have, at the time, been completely okay with it. I may have been into it. I also may have been very aware of the danger. I honestly don't know because I don't remember this happening. And I don't really want to. I don't want to think about all the things that happened in that relationship. Because I did end up staying with her longer than I should have because I was afraid that something would happen. With good reason, because when we broke up, she was outside my window and was like, hey, why can't we talk? She called me on the phone. I closed my window as soon as I realized she was there. I was on the phone with other people. It was like somewhere between midnight and 3 a.m. And I was like, if I disappear off this line, call 911 because I might be dead. And she's like, hey, why can't we talk? Open your window. What do you think? I'm going to try to kill you? I thought that before, and then you asked me. Definitely think it now. And yeah, I was the dumb kid that didn't wake my mom up and tell her. I didn't call the cops. I didn't do anything. I did attempt to call her mom and leave a voicemail, but since the phone didn't seem to wake her up, she got to the phone first and erased the message before her mom woke up. So nothing happened there either. And I say this to say, I understand staying in abusive relationships. Mine was not nearly as bad as a lot of the scenarios that I've had personal friends who have been in and other stories that I've heard. But I also say that you run a higher risk of something happening that severely hurts you the longer you stay in the relationship. There are resources. There are ways to leave and to get help. And if you're in one of these relationships, I really hope you do. You're not alone. There are so many people out there that have their own stories. Like I said, many are way worse than mine. And I've never really considered like my scenarios to really be abuse, but as an adult, I realize they're not normal. They're not things that normal people do. So before this goes on any longer and I ramble on about things that don't really matter, I'm going to go ahead and sign off. So if you're over 18, I hope you got something out of this. If you are also under 18, you really shouldn't be watching most of my videos, but I hope you got something out of this. And please be careful out there, guys, because people who know what they're doing are dangerous or can be dangerous, and people who don't know what they're doing definitely can be dangerous. So it's kind of a scary scene. It's kind of dangerous, but it can be really fun. It can be really beautiful. And I hope that those are the experiences that you find.